Just to start this, following up on our discussion we had on the group yesterday about topics that we can tackle with our do-day meetings. There's a couple of very interesting things that has been mentioned, but I think what caught me mostly was the mention of job creation. And that is so typical of what's happening at the moment, is where people believe that things like job creation has become very important. And it is important. I'm not saying that it's not, but job creation is not the solution. And you'll understand as I go through the presentation that I prepared for this morning. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff that I want to share with you, and things that we need to take note of, which is important in terms of our whole future-proofing campaign, if you want to call it that we're having at the moment. It will fill in nicely from where we were last week, talking about being future-proof, and the follow-up that we'll have next week when it comes to future-proofing your household. Guys, these are very important things that we are sharing here, and I believe that it is seeds that we need to take away from here and go and plant it, so that we can get the message out, that we can get our people to realize and understand that they are the architects of their own future. So yes, I'm going to share my screen again as I did last week, so that we can look at the slides and you can read while I try and plant some seeds in your mind and in your heart on this issue. So let me share that. Share screen. There we go. Again, it's all about the future. I think the future has become more important, and it's extremely important that we realize that the future is not just about us, and I'm talking about me personally. It is about creating a future that is shared. That because it's in that sharing that we actually create purpose, and I think meaning beyond just ourselves. So let's talk. The discussion yesterday, Lorato mentioned that we need to talk about social ills, and the question also arises: can job creation be the solution? And I adamantly stated that it's not the solution, and I think you'll understand why I made that statement as we go through this thing. But the social ills that we're dealing with is basically falls in the following 5 categories: poverty, racism, violence, corruption, entitlement. Now, I think for many years we have not given the word entitlement or the social phenomena very much a position in terms of a threat for our future. But it is because of entitlement that we are in the position where we are today. It has created, and you'll understand as I go further, it has created a culture of, we're okay because things has to be done for us. Human rights has become a major issue. It's become something that has been campaigned very harshly over many years to make sure that everybody understands they have rights. In my opinion, I don't think humans have rights. We've got privileges. If we are prepared to add value to the life that we create, to society and everything else, then certain things will follow on that. But we're not entitled to it. It is the fruit of who we are that actually gives us the benefits or the privileges that we live with. And if we start to move in that direction, then I'm happy to participate in any discussion. But when it comes to talking about human rights or the entitlement phenomena that we're dealing with today, then cut me out, because I'm not happy to deal with that. The question is, how can we help? Is there anything that we can do to make these things better? Now, first of all, we need to understand where all of this comes from. Somewhere there must be a root that we need to deal with, a root cause that we need to deal with. If we talk about poverty, why is poverty actually an issue? If we talk about entitlement, why is entitlement an issue? And all those things. And I think there's 4 things that I want to highlight here today, just very briefly, for us to understand that this is where it all started. And the first one is selfishness or lovelessness. I think we've become a very selfish society. Everything is about my own survival, about my own well-being, about the well-being of my family at best, but it doesn't really go beyond that. We've become a very lawless society, and I think it is because we've become a very godless society, for that matter. Greed is becoming overwhelming. People have become hoarders of many things in life, and usually most of those things don't even hold value for them. It's just that because they have it, they keep it. They will never share it, never give it away, never fall into the habit of actually becoming givers for that matter. And pride. Pride, we all know the fruits thereof: stubbornness, rebellion, arrogance. And the warning that Samuel gave us in 1 Samuel 15, verse 22 to 23, where he equates that to witchcraft, and some serious other stuff. So I think those are the things that we need to be cognizant of in working with people to create a better future for all. It's huge, as I said at the bottom, it's bad, and it's global. But if these things don't change, then nothing will change for us. So if we want to make sure that the stuff that we do, like job creation or entrepreneurial development or whatever, then we need to focus on changing the cultures within the communities that we're working with. And that's extremely important. So why won't money change anything? And I'm making a statement there. I'm saying that even if people work for their money, it won't change who we as society have become. The problem that we're dealing with is not something that we can put band-aids on. It has become a matter of that we as society have become something bad. We've got a character and a way in which things manifest around us that is very negative when it comes to humanity as a whole. We've created a culture that is selfish, as I mentioned, lawless, greedy, and prideful. These ills are no longer just symptoms. It has become the character or the nature of the society that we help build. Now, we may argue that. We may say, you know what, over the years, I've done this and that, whatever it is, to help counter the development of all these bad things in society. But there's still a way in which we all participated in helping to create this culture that we live with today. As I say, not all of us are bad. We are, in fact, good people. The thing that led to the problem that we're in now is that last statement that I'm making on the slide there is saying that we have become prisoners or victims of our own complacency. Now, I've made this statement many times before, but I've never really placed it in the context that I'm going to put it into now. And maybe that will help you understand where it is that we as members of Huge that strive to do this thing that's sustainable, or that is the people that are interested in making an impact on society in general. We want to see people safe. We want to see them prosperous. We want to see them well in terms of their own health and things like that. But where does it all start? It starts with healing the ills of our society. And there's one key thing that we need to change if we really want to get there, and that is to deal with the complacent zone, or the comfort zone that we've fallen into over the years. Very subtly, we didn't even realize that we're entering into, that we're going in that direction. But we all fell into this thing of, you know what, it's okay. We'll all be okay. It's not okay, and we will not all be okay. There's something that is happening to us that's going to affect everybody. And if we don't rise up and let our voices be heard and bring about the change that is necessary, then nothing will change. That's how strong I feel about this. When I watched what happened over the weekend with the bikers that were campaigning against farm murders, I felt, you know what, South Africa is actually awakening. There's something happening here, and it might be the beginning of very good things. And I believe it is, because all over the South Africa, we've got the I'm Staying movement, we've got the Move a Million movement, which is basically from the same group, and they are doing big things to make sure that people get the message, that there's an awareness that we cannot be complacent with where we are any longer. Complacency is that sense of achievement and security, or that success brings along, usually accompanied by a lack of sensing potential threats. That is a typical ostrich thing that we do. We put our head in a hole, and all we do is fight for our own survival, and we carry on, ignoring everything that is actually threatening life in general. It is the enemy of progress. Now that should say a lot of things to you, and can be the single largest threat to society or the well-being of society. Now, just on that matter, has anyone ever spoken to you about complacency in that sense, that has actually become something that we subtly fall into, and it is actually one of the biggest threats against society in general? It finds security and mediocrity and predictability, because that's the comfort zones that we want to live in. It dwells on the comforts of yesterday while avoiding the reality of today. Which takes me back to the scripture in Revelations, where John warned us. He said, actually Jesus spoke to John, and John just brought the message to us, where he said that, have you been either cold or hot? But now that you are lukewarm, I will spew you out of your mouth. And this is where a lot of us find ourselves. It's not just about religion. It's not just about being a spiritual person, having a good relationship with God. Being lukewarm has got a much bigger context than just that. It is about life itself. If we don't become promoters of life, and we become complacent, then that's exactly where we find ourselves. We've become lukewarm, just floating along, doing the things that we believe is okay. It's just enough to keep us going. I've always had that thing when I run a big team. I get rid of the guys, first of all, if there's a problem in a team, the guys that is doing just enough to make sure that he doesn't lose his job, those are the first ones that I get rid of. Because that's where the problem lies. It is with that complacent attitude that they have, that, you know what, if I do this and I do this alone, then they can't touch me. And that is things that was brought on when what I said earlier with this human rights thing. We've got all these rights today, and these rights has put us into a position that we've become complacent with the things happening around us. It's okay. We'll be okay. Nothing can, as long as we do this, nothing can touch us. That, my friend, is what has made us prisoners of our own complacency. Complacency creates a false sense of reality. Exactly what I said now. Complacency suppresses innovation. Complacency stems growth. Complacency almost always leads to massive failure. Complacency causes systemic resistance to change. Complacent people will always find an excuse why they don't have to prepare for eventualities. So all those people that are saying to you, you know what, the future will happen. We don't have to be prepared for the future. Those are the ones that's a danger to society, because you cannot change their mindset that easily. They've fallen into that trap of being comfortable where they are, regardless of, if it happens, it happens. It doesn't have to be, my friend. We can change what happens to us by resisting the things that is bad. By making sure that we're an influence that brings life to the environment in which we find ourselves, life to the people around us. That is what we are supposed to do, not just sit back and let things happen. Why do people become complacent? Because they're too damn lazy and unwilling to do the things that needs to be done. The lack of challenging goals, especially after success, I've seen it in my own life, where you become successful, you become comfortable with the position that you're in, and that results in you being complacent, and then slowly but surely you fall into that trap of being okay. And before you know it, you are allowing things in your life, you are allowing things to happen around you that is part of the works of the enemy, that is a threat to life and society in general. The lack of vision to protect ourselves against overwhelming odds. We become complacent. It's too big. We can't change it anyway. So why even try to change it? I'm looking at you specifically at this point, where we look at our vision and the stuff that we want to do and that we hope to achieve, and then we look at what needs to be done, and it's freaking overwhelming. And then we do nothing, because where do we start? How do we get all these things done? And we like to quote things like, you know what, it's like eating an elephant. You do it little bites, or it's one step at a time, and it's great. But we cannot just say that and stay there. If we say that we need to do this thing one bite at a time, or that we need to do whatever it is that we have to achieve, go on this journey that we're on one step at a time, then dude, that's what we need to do. We need to put one foot ahead of the other foot and go forward. If we don't do that, we're going to remain exactly where we are. And then all these things that we deal with in society, the illnesses that we sit with, they will just flourish. They will continue to go, because there's nothing resisting them. There is nothing that is invoking life or that is bringing healing to an environment that is seriously ill. Let me carry on to the next thing. How do we break the chains of complacency? It is to adopt a mindset of change. Complacent people don't like change. So if we come and we bring change, obviously we need to do it with love, and we need to be mindful. But if we bring change consistently and we work towards changing things consistently, then complacency has to go. And I believe that what we need to do is to create a growth mindset, because a growth mindset brings change. And I've got two beautiful pictures up there which you can study. Always challenge the status quo. Learn, improve, and grow. Love, care, and be mindful. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. If we don't start to do these things as individuals, as a group, if we don't create this culture that will infiltrate and permeate all the cultures around us, life is a funny thing. Life will overcome death anytime. It's not the other way around. Death has been defeated. So if we bring life into situations with who we are and what we have become, and the attitude, the mindset that we have, then change will come. And I want to encourage you to be strong on that, push forward, and to bring life wherever it is that you go. Complacency kills. But I know that we can turn that around. So let's raise the dead. That is what I feel we can do. So how are we going to breathe life into the dead bones? We can help them find the truth about the reality of today. That is where we need to start. We cannot start anywhere else than where we are right now. So if we start at where we are right now, from there we can grow. We can teach them to question the norm, challenge the status quo. We can help them discover purpose, to dream, to have vision. We can help them to become architects of their own future, create a legacy, live with that, bring change. Those are the things that will bring life back into the dead bone, the valley of dead bones in which we find ourselves. Avoiding complacency. You need to know your purpose and know why you are doing the things that you are doing. And we've discussed this during our committee meeting a little earlier too. You need to have goals, guys. I'm actually shocked at when I walk into situations where people ask me to help. And I ask them, okay, what is it that you do? Why do you do it? And when do you do that? And then they can't answer you because there's no strategy, there's no plan, there's no goals. If you don't have any goals, then you will flounder around in life and fall into complacency because you know what? Life carries on. I don't want life to carry on. I want to create life. I want to be the one that actually makes things happen. So if you know why you do it and set your goals and set the times in which you can do it. These things are never in concrete. It is never stuff that you cannot change, but at least it gives you some format or some structure within which you can work, within which you can keep yourself accountable for achieving things, for actually making things happen. And that to me is very important. Okay, I've gone through all the slides. I think I would like to invite you. I'm not sure what the time is now. I've actually